Skid Row, Los Angeles stands as one of the rawest symbols of the homelessness emergency in the United States, where more than 4,000 people fight every day just to survive. Tents and makeshift shelters line the sidewalks, each one carrying the weight of a story, interrupted, a life derailed. This isn't just another neighborhood. It's the front line of a national failure where human dignity struggles against neglect and indifference.
We don't really sleep.
You don't sleep?
That much. Whenever we do sleep, it's...
Wherever we lay our head.
Wherever you lay your head.
Because when we sleep, we get peeled.
Despite wave after wave of initiatives and promises, the numbers keep rising and hope grows thinner. People living on Skid Row face not only harsh weather and unsafe conditions, but also the crushing reality of a system that seems to have walked away from them. The cameras come and go, headlines flare and fade, yet real solutions remain out of reach, leaving thousands to endure a daily battle with uncertainty. Here, every block tells a story of resilience in the face of neglect, a place where the homeless are not just statistics in the larger story of homeless in America, but human beings fighting to reclaim their lives in a city still searching for answers. Slums, the zombie capital of the world. Skid Row in Los Angeles has been called the zombie capital of the world. It's a harsh nickname, but when you set foot on these streets, the depth of the crisis is impossible to ignore. People move through the chaos, some battling addiction, others struggling with untreated mental health issues, all of them trying to survive in a part of the city that feels worlds away from its glamorous image.
And if any of these people that are in the younger generations, they're thinking about doing this, what would you say to them?
Don't ever try heroin. I mean, I don't have a problem with marijuana. When I first tried it, I'm like, oh, I'm not going to get hooked, That's not going to be me. I'm not going to be strung out, but it's impossible.
This isn't just another district. It's an unfiltered snapshot of the homelessness crisis at the heart of homeless in America, where the fight for hope is waged against overwhelming despair. Substances like fentanyl and methamphetamine have taken a heavy toll on Skid Row, gripping many in addictions that are incredibly hard to escape. The opioid epidemic has sunk deep roots here, and substance use is a major factor tangled up with homelessness in this community. Estimates suggest that nearly 70% of people experiencing homelessness in Skid Row are affected by substance abuse, a brutal cycle that can be life-threatening and extraordinarily difficult to break. But addiction is only part of the story. Mental health is tightly woven into this crisis. A large share of Skid Row's unhoused population is living with serious, untreated mental health conditions, making it even harder to find stability. Research indicates that around 40% of people here are dealing with significant mental health disorders, such as depression, anxiety, and post-traumatic stress disorder. Yet Skid Row is not just defined by struggle, it's also a community. The people who live here are far more than statistics or labels. They are parents, children, veterans, survivors, and dreamers, all trapped in a system that has failed to provide the support they need to get back on their feet. Local officials and agencies have made efforts to respond, creating task forces and programs aimed at housing treatment and outreach. But the reality on the ground shows a different picture. The help available doesn't match the scale of the need. Only a small fraction of people experiencing homelessness in Los Angeles receive the mental health care or rehabilitation services they require, and chronic underfunding of treatment, supportive housing, and outreach continues to fuel the crisis. Real change will require far greater investment in accessible comprehensive care, not just emergency shelter beds, but long-term housing, mental health support, and recovery programs that actually stick. This isn't just about assigning blame. It's about acknowledging that Skid Row's crisis reflects broader failures playing out across homeless in America. From veterans who once served the country to mothers doing everything they can to protect their kids, the people here deserve more than a passing glance. As a society, we cannot keep looking away. We must see their humanity and support the programs that give them a genuine chance to rebuild. Skid Row's story is not just a story of suffering, it's a call to action. If we choose to respond with compassion and commitment, we can strengthen the systems that keep people safe and ensure no city in America becomes a place where thousands are left behind. Flames of despair on Skid Row. On Skid Row, where thousands rely on tents and fragile shelters for survival, fire is a constant and terrifying threat. People use whatever they can find: small stoves, candles, open flames to cook food or stay warm at night.
What you doing? My name is Vasquez. I'm homeless for many years. But we pass a lot of things. No eat, no shower. And sometimes people look at us like a bad person. We don't know bad person. We do it, that we think it's that decision sometimes.
These tools of survival can turn into instruments of disaster in an instant. A single spark can set a tarp or tent ablaze, transforming a makeshift home into an inferno in seconds. The results are heartbreaking: destroyed shelters, burned belongings, serious injuries, and lives lost. For the more than 4,000 people living on these streets, the fear of fire is part of everyday life. In 2024, multiple fires ripped through Skid Row encampments, injuring many and leaving countless others with nothing but the clothes on their backs, displaced yet again in a place where they were already hanging on by a thread. These fires aren't just random tragedies. They're the predictable outcome of forcing people to live without basic safety and infrastructure. No reliable access to fire-safe cooking areas, limited fire hydrants or equipment nearby, no stable shelters designed to protect people. Just tarps, tents, and desperation. The lack of fire safety and basic infrastructure is a glaring sign of how deeply the city's most vulnerable residents have been neglected. Every blaze is a tragedy, but it's also more than that. It's a warning siren. Each life lost, each injury, each destroyed tent should shake those in power. These are not anonymous numbers. They are human beings with stories, families, and the right to live without constant fear. Yet the response from the system often feels muted, slow, or temporary. Short-term fixes and quick cleanups don't address the real issue: the absence of safe, permanent housing. People on Skid Row deserve more than a life spent wondering if tonight is the night everything goes up in flames. The real question isn't just how many more fires Skid Row can endure, but how long we as a society will tolerate a situation like this. A city has a responsibility to protect all its residents, not only those who can afford rent. But year after year, the same patterns repeat. Plans are announced, promises are made, yet the encampments remain vulnerable and the fires keep happening. It's not enough to grieve after each disaster or count the losses. We need decisive action that prioritizes permanent safe housing, essential infrastructure, and dignity for people who have been overlooked for far too long. Until that happens, Skid Row will remain a tinderbox, and its residents will continue to face the flames alone. The real question is how many more lives must be shattered before we finally insist on meaningful change, not just for Skid Row, but for all who are homeless in America. Homeless children, a forgotten generation. In the heart of Los Angeles, on the streets of Skid Row, more than 4,000 people are struggling to survive, and among them are over 200 children. These kids aren't just numbers in a report.
I know, but there isn't good services. Like, all the shelters are full. Unless you get there by 7 o'clock or a good time, they make you sit in a chair all night long. All this housing and When I called for the waiting list, they said that there was over 200 families on the women and children's waiting list.
They are growing up in tents packed into makeshift shelters with their families in conditions that steal away the safety and innocence childhood is supposed to offer. Skid Row is not a place any child should know as home. It's a maze of tarps and temporary structures, where survival takes priority over play, and the basics food, clean water. A safe place to sleep are treated like rare privileges instead of everyday needs. These children wake up each day not to possibility but to uncertainty. Their lives are shaped by fear, instability, and a level of stress no child should ever carry. School becomes a distant goal, something that's talked about more than experienced. Medical care is rare, scattered, and often out of reach. On these streets, there are no playgrounds, only sidewalks and alleys. No swing sets, just tents and broken pavement. It's a relentless fight for survival, and children are caught in the middle of it. The impact on these kids is devastating. Physically, they're exposed to harsh weather, cold nights, sweltering days, and constant health risks with little to no consistent care. Emotionally, the weight of instability presses on them every single day. Growing up in an environment like this doesn't just leave scars, it threatens to break their sense of safety and self-worth entirely. Without a stable home, regular meals, or access to quality education, their futures hang in the balance. These are children who should be imagining what they want to be when they grow up, not wondering where they'll sleep tonight. If nothing changes, many of them are at risk of inheriting the very same struggles their parents face now. The cycle of poverty, trauma, and homelessness tightens, pulling them deeper into a future that looks frighteningly similar to their present. This isn't just a Skid Row crisis, it's part of the broader story of homeless in America, where kids are paying the price for a system that didn't protect them. So why aren't we doing more? These children did not ask for this life. They were born into circumstances shaped by policies, economics, and neglect forces far beyond their control. Skid Row is not just a location, it's a symptom. A symptom of a much larger failure where entire generations are being written off before they've even had a chance to begin. Safe housing, dependable education, and access to healthcare are not luxuries. They are basic rights, especially for children. Yet for these kids, those rights are distant, often unreachable. The systems meant to protect them have failed to place them at the center of the conversation. Every day spent growing up on these streets erodes their potential, damages their health, and chips away at their hope. We talk a lot about the future, about innovation, progress, opportunity. But what does any of that mean if we're failing the very children who are supposed to inherit that future? The kids of Skid Row represent a generation at risk, their possibilities buried under neglect and indifference. They don't need pity, they need action. They need stable homes, schools they can attend consistently and safely, and doctors who can care for their bodies and minds. These are the foundations of a real life, not rewards to be earned. If we truly care about what comes next for this country, we must start with them. The children of Skid Row deserve the chance not just to survive, but to thrive. Until we make their well-being a real priority, we're not only failing them, we're failing ourselves and deepening the crisis of homeless in America. Art and Activism, an effort to rebuild the soul. On Skid Row, where despair hangs in the air and survival consumes each day, something powerful and quietly defiant is taking root through art. Amid the tents, broken sidewalks, and worn faces, groups like the Skid Row Arts Alliance and other community organizations are carving out spaces for creativity, places where people can paint, play music, act, or simply express themselves. These aren't just hobbies or distractions, they are lifelines. For the thousands of people living through homelessness here, creating art is a way to speak when words fail to grieve, to dream, to breathe. It's a chance to piece together fragments of identity in a world that often treats them as invisible. These programs offer much more than brushes, instruments, or scripts. They help rebuild community among people who have lost so much. They offer moments of connection in a place where Isolation is common and trust is hard-earned. When someone picks up a guitar, steps into a theater workshop, or splashes color across a canvas, they're not just making art, they're taking back a piece of themselves. It's an act of resistance against a system that has overlooked them. A way of saying I'm still here, I still matter. Every mural painted on a crumbling wall, every song sung in a makeshift studio, every poem shared in a circle. These are stories of survival. They're proof that even in the middle of the crisis that defines so much of homeless in America, human spirit refuses to disappear. Take the Skid Row Arts Alliance as an example. They've turned vacant lots, community centers, and small indoor spaces into sanctuaries where people can tell their stories. A man who's been sleeping on the sidewalk might paint a sunrise that reminds him of something better. A woman who's lost almost everything might find her voice through performance-sharing experiences that make others nod in recognition and say, "Me too." These moments are not small. They remind people they are not alone, that their pain and hope both have a place to be seen and heard. In a place where society often reduces people to a faceless group, art insists on individuality. It demands that we see people not just problems. But we have to be honest, art on its own is not a cure. It can inspire, heal, and call attention to injustice. It can keep people going when everything else feels hopeless. It can even draw media coverage and shine a spotlight on Skid Row's reality. National outlets have amplified stories about Skid Row's murals performances and creative projects, helping to bring visibility to voices long ignored. And that matters, but art can't fill empty stomachs. It can't substitute for safe housing, healthcare, or a steady income. The people here need more than creativity. They need systems that work. They need homes, not just canvases. They need doctors and therapists, not just microphones. They need jobs that pay enough to live, not just stages to stand on. So the question isn't whether art is important, it absolutely is. The real question is, will we build on what it reveals? Community-based efforts like these show what's possible when people come together, but they're still operating in the shadow of a much bigger failure. They're powerful, but they are also in many ways a bandage on a wound that needs surgery. Skid Row's residents deserve more than moments of beauty, they deserve structural change. Art can sustain the soul, but it's up to the city, the state, and the nation to repair the systems around it. Until that happens, every mural, every performance, every song is both a celebration and a warning, a reminder that even in the harshest corners of homeless in America, people are still creating, still resisting, still hoping. And that hope is asking loudly and clearly for something bigger. Skid Row's cleanup beyond the surface. Los Angeles has been pouring time, money, and energy into cleaning up Skid Row, the place where the homelessness crisis is impossible to ignore. At the center of these efforts is the Skid Row Action Plan, the city's flagship strategy to improve sanitation, expand mental health outreach, and promise housing for the thousands of people surviving on these streets. On paper, it sounds like real progress. Crews arrive, tents are cleared, trash is hauled away, sidewalks are scrubbed. But here's the hard truth, it's not enough. These tent sweeps don't actually solve homelessness. They just move people around a few blocks over a different alley, another sidewalk, while leaving the root causes completely untouched. It's like trying to mop the floor while the roof is still leaking. You might make things look better for a moment, but the problem keeps coming back. The people living on Skid Row are not debris to be cleared. They're human beings trying to survive in a world that often feels rigged against them. Taking away their tents and belongings doesn't fix the reasons they ended up on the streets. Reasons like poverty trauma, untreated mental illness, addiction, or a streak of bad luck that could happen to almost anyone. For many, these cleanups feel less like help and more like punishment. They're pushed from one corner to another with no real way forward, no clear offer of permanent housing, and no stable support. The city may be acting with good intentions, but the approach often misses the mark. At best, these sweeps are a short-term cosmetic fix. At worst, they deepen the instability people are already facing. It's a bandage on a wound that clearly needs surgery. What Skid Row really needs is a shift from optics to outcomes, from appearances to actual rehabilitation. Housing First programs, which have worked in other parts of the country, could be transformative here. The idea is straightforward. Give people a safe, stable home first. No strings attached, no sobriety tests, no job requirement as a precondition. Once they have a roof over their heads, they're in a much stronger position to address the tougher issues: mental health, addiction, physical health, employment, rebuilding relationships. Research consistently shows that Housing First reduces homelessness improves stability, and even saves public money by cutting down on emergency room visits, jail time, and crisis interventions. Cities like Houston and Salt Lake City have seen real measurable success using this model, proof that this isn't some fantasy solution. It works when it's funded and taken seriously. For Los Angeles to make that kind of impact on Skid Row, it has to go all in. That means more than announcing new plans or allocating money without follow-through. It means building and securing enough permanent housing, not just temporary beds that people cycle in and out of. It means pairing those homes with wraparound services like counseling, addiction treatment, job training, and healthcare, so people aren't just housed but supported. Right now, the city's efforts are a starting point, but they're nowhere near enough to break the cycle that defines life on Skid Row. And this isn't just about one neighborhood. Skid Row has become a symbol of what happens when systems fail, a living reminder of the broader crisis of homeless in America. If Los Angeles truly wants to lead, it has to stop treating homelessness like something to be swept out of sight and start treating it like the human emergency it is. We don't just need clearer sidewalks. We need solutions that lift people up, not just move them along. Anything less is just kicking the can down the road while lives hang in the balance. A call to act ending the crisis on Skid Row. The humanitarian disaster unfolding on Skid Row is more than an uncomfortable truth at the edge of downtown Los Angeles. It is a challenge to our conscience and a harsh reflection of what happens when a society allows thousands of its people to fall through the cracks. Skid Row is not just a neighborhood. It has become a symbol, a living testimony to how deep the crisis of homeless in America truly runs. If we are serious about ending this crisis instead of just reshaping it, we have to move beyond quick fixes. That begins with recognizing that safe, stable housing is not a reward. It is a basic necessity. Without enough affordable homes, Skid Row will remain a permanent fixture no matter how many task forces we create. Real solutions require building and preserving housing that people with very low incomes can actually afford, and committing to models that have already shown results like Housing First, where people are given a home first and then supported in addressing the challenges in their lives. But housing alone is not enough. Many people on Skid Row are living with deep trauma, serious mental health conditions, or substance use disorders. Others have criminal records that make employers hesitant to hire them, or medical conditions that have gone untreated for years. We cannot expect people to simply get back on their feet without giving them real tools, accessible mental health services, addiction treatment case, management, and pathways to jobs that pay enough to live on. Too often, the systems that are supposed to help are full underfunded or wrapped in red tape that people in crisis simply cannot navigate. This isn't just about mercy, it's about justice. Every person sleeping on the streets of Skid Row is part of our community, whether we choose to see them or not. They are someone's son, daughter, parent, friend. Treating them as though they are invisible or as though they are the problem is a choice. And in the broader story of homeless in America, that choice says more about us than it does about them. Ignoring the crisis will not make it vanish. It will spread, harden, and become even more difficult to address. So we have to ask ourselves, are we willing to accept a reality where entire blocks of a major American city function as outdoor camps because we don't have the will to do better? Or are we ready to insist on a different future? The path forward is challenging, but it's not mysterious. It starts with people, residents, voters, advocates, faith communities, and leaders refusing to accept Skid Row as an unavoidable fact of life. It means demanding policies that prioritize housing, healthcare, and dignity over optics and short-term cleanups. It means supporting organizations already doing the hard work on the ground and holding officials accountable when promises fade into delay. Skid Row is not just a problem to be managed, it is a call to act. What happens next will be determined not only in city halls and policy rooms, but in whether we choose to care enough to push for real change. If we respond with courage and compassion, Skid Row doesn't have to remain a symbol of failure. It can become proof that even in the darkest corners of homeless in America, a community can choose to rebuild, to restore dignity, and to make home a reality for everyone.